If you're not, get there, okay? Everybody except the person having problems with his software. Okay? Other than that, everybody else. Okay, we're going to do this a little bit different. This is what we're going to do. I want everybody, File, New. I want you to choose Project. It's going to be different than last time, though, from last year. All right? There's a bunch of stuff here. I don't know why that's pushed over here. Yours might say Visual C#. Yours might look like that. I don't know. If it does, come down here and under Windows, choose Web. This is what I want it to be showing right there. If you say, I don't know how to do that, then raise your hand. But if you don't raise your hand, I assume that you're able to do that. All right, so make sure you've chosen ASP Web Application. Single click on it, don't double click, but single click. And please look up on the screen here. This is what I mentioned to you before, okay? You'll start seeing this stuff in here. This will say, should I create a directory for your solution? Okay? And this is what they did. This is what they did for, I believe at least, I'm going to try it. So I want you to watch me rather than doing it. I'm going to come here and I'm going to make sure it's setting into my desktop, not BMI, etc., none of that stuff. But I'm going to say under desktop, I'm going to put right here, future value, maybe future value 2, in case you already have one. All right? But I'm not going to have this checked. I think if I have this checked and I make future value, it's going to make a future value folder inside of my future value folder. I don't really see any reason to do that. So I'm going to try that because I think what I just told you is correct. We're going to find out. So on my desktop, I did get rid of my thing that's called future value, but just to be sure, I'm going to call this future value 2. And where it says create directory for solution, I'm going to uncheck it, and I'm going to click OK. All right. Now it comes up and it shows me this stuff. Okay. These are very similar to the two I showed you before. These are the two that we care about for this class. All right, empty or web forms. Okay, believe it or not, we're going to choose empty. We're going to start totally from scratch. So I'm going to choose empty. Web forms is very similar to what I showed you before. MVC for model view controller, web API for an application program interface. Anybody ever heard? And I don't mean like where you go to relax and rest. Has anybody ever heard of a spa? A single page application? That literally is when you build everything on one page and you can cascade your way through it. You can build spas in here too. All right. So it says add folders and core references. I'm going to leave all that stuff alone. The recommendation from the people who created this software say that even if you're not going to do any unit tests, which we're never going to do any, they recommend that you check this because it'll build a unit test folder for you. So if you ever want to go back and do it again later, it's there. So I usually check it even though I've never used it. All right? So I'm going to check it. All right. And I'm going to click OK. And it's going to build not really a whole lot of stuff, but it's going to build some stuff for me. Now, I don't remember if I chose empty project or not. Okay, that's fine. I'll go back and redo it. It's not a problem. You want the empty one. You want the empty one. You can still check the unit test. If you don't check it, it's not going to hurt anything. Yeah. Okay, it's because we don't have anything for it to build around yet. All right, so you've seen this. It's very similar to what we looked at before. So let me just kill this. Come on. No. Yeah, I got it. Okay. All right, start up one more time. File, new, project. All right, come in, ASP.NET application. Create the directory. I'm going to leave it unchecked. New, empty. All right. But when I did that, I probably didn't give it a name. Yeah, future value 2. Good. All right. So there. Okay. Empty. And as she said, let me do it with empty, but it doesn't really matter one way or the other. It's not going to matter. But I want to choose empty and click OK. I think I'm going to have only just a couple files in here. It looks like there's a lot of stuff. Don't worry about this. These are all system files that it naturally creates. This is the only file that we would play with, the one that's called web.config. Now, I want to come over here, and I want to look. Did it create a folder for me called Future Value 2? There it is. See it? Is there another folder in it called Future Value 2? Not that I can see. Okay? So why did I even have you do that? So you didn't have a folder within a folder by the same name. That's all. All right. So hopefully yours looks like this now, or some reasonable facsimile of this. If you say, Jeff, I tried doing all that stuff and mine looks nothing like yours, please raise your hand. All right? Again, it's not like we're in any hurry to see how fast we can get through this stuff. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to build this future value application. Right now, we can't even run this. It looks like we can, but we'll get an error because there's no form. There's nothing here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a new form. So how are we going to do that? I'm going to right mouse click, always on the project name, not on the solution name. Right mouse click on the project name and choose add. And over here, I'm going to choose web form. If I didn't want to do that, I could choose new item and find web form in here. You can do it either way. It does the same thing. All right. And notice it called it webform1.aspx. Well, I don't want that. So I'll just call it future value. Okay. Why don't we just, let's do it all over again, okay? I'm just going to start everything from brand new. I just want to make sure that everybody gets how to do this, that's all. So everybody started up, well, almost everybody, started up Visual Studio. All right, so with this up, I'm going to do a file, new, project. I'm going to make sure that I've got ASP.NET web application chosen here. I'm going to give it a name, which for right now, I'll just call it FV for future value. I know I don't have anything called FV. I'm going to have this unchecked, and I'm going to click OK. Then it comes up and says, what kind of project do you want to create? I want to create an empty project, so I'm choosing empty, and I'm clicking OK. Ideally, at least, that's going to create an empty project for me. No, it doesn't matter really one way or the other. It really doesn't. Microsoft recommends because they say, hey, you never know when you might want to do some unit testing. So that's why they recommend that you do it. All right. The only file that's in here that's of any consequence whatsoever, the only folder that is this web config stuff. Don't worry about it for now. It's fine. So I'm going to right mouse click on my project name. Again, there's a solution here and there's a project underneath it. It is totally permissible in Visual Studio to have multiple projects under the same solution. Did you hear that? If we were doing something unbelievably complex, that's what we do. We're not. So I want you to make sure you right mouse click on the name of your project and choose add. And you can either choose new item and go to web form. Not the web form on master page, that's a later chapter. All right. Or you can right mouse click on here, choose add, and you can choose web form over here. Either one is going to give you the same thing. For now, you know what? We don't even really care. Let's just, you don't even have to change the name. I don't care. You're not turning this in anyway. All right. right, so I'm going to click OK. All right. Now, if you look up on the screen here, does that look familiar to you? It looks like a simple HTML document, at least to me it does. All right? But I want to show you something that you may or may not be able to see, but you can probably see it on your screen. I want to wait till everybody gets to this point. I can see at least a couple of you are not there. Again, if you're having problems, you have to raise your hand and let me know, all right? Or if you're Valerie, you can let Tiffany know, I guess, okay? But that's okay. All right, if you look down on the bottom of your screen right now, on almost the very bottom of your screen, do you see these 3 buttons that say Design, Split, and Source? Can you see those on yours? We are currently, right now, we are in source mode. If I click the button that says Design, that's what my screen currently looks like. Not much because there's nothing in it. All right. If I go and click Split, whoops, or try to, it shows both of them. It splits my screen and it shows both modes. Some people like to be able to see everything they're working on at once, so they use split mode. I find it myself easier for me to go back and forth between design mode and source mode and not use split. You may or may not agree with that. So you're going to end up doing with whatever you feel comfortable with, which is totally fine. It's the way that it should be anyway. You what? Yes. Yeah, you can do work with both of them. Yes, you can. What's that? You can go back and forth between the two and you see them both on the screen at the same time. That's, if you say what's the advantage, that's the advantage. That's it. All right, there's absolutely no reason for doing it that way, just so you know. Now, that said, some people, no, they disagree. They're like, no, I don't agree with that. I like doing it that way. Then you should do it that way. It might work a little bit slower. All right. Now, a couple things. Please look up on the screen. If you look on the screen right now, you don't have to be in this mode, but would you agree that I am in source mode right now? You can always tell because if you look down at the bottom, you've got the blue rectangle. All right. Also, please look at my menu. Look at the menu. All right. This is not meant to confuse you, but I'm asking you a question. When you look at the menu options, file, edit, etc., do you see the word table on there? I'm asking you, do you see the word table on there? No, I don't. But notice if I change from source view to design view. Now do you see the word table? So if you decide that you want to create a table, which is what we're about to do, you can do it in 2 ways. Okay? You can either go to design mode like this, and I'm not picking on, let's say Ethan says, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it in source mode. Then you have to manually add the TD tags and the table tags. You can manually do it like that if you want to. And if you, wait a minute, why the hell would I ever want to do that? I don't know. But you can. It's totally fine to do it that way. This is going to write all the stuff for us. That's what I'm telling you. All right? You can adjust all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
All right. So what we're going to want to do is, first thing that we want to put in here, we're going to put in a table, but before we do that, okay, we want to bring in, remember that graphic that we had that said on it Muroc books? Okay. Well, remember the project that I had you copy at the beginning of class? That's got an images folder with that image in it. You understand what I just said? So the easiest way to do this, we don't have an images folder. Not asking you, I'm telling you. I'm going to right mouse click on my project name. I'm going to go to add. I'm going to go to new folder, and I'm going to type in images. You can make it lowercase. It doesn't hurt at all. I had a guy this morning in the web class. He thought certain things had to be uppercase, certain things. No, I said it's okay. Make it all lowercase. Really? Yeah. So in my images, now with that highlighted, and I can tell it's highlighted here because it's in blue, I'm going to right mouse click on that, and I'm going to click add. But does this make sense to you? I don't want to add a new item because that image already exists. So I want to add an existing item. So the system thinks it's in my project right now where I am. It's not in there. It's not in my project. All right? In fact, I don't even know if I kept this on the desktop, so I'm going to grab mine from the flash drive. Yours, of course, you'd be on your desktop. Okay? So I'm going to have to say here, this isn't where I want to look. So with me, it's my flash drive. There it is, CH future value. And I open up CH future value. There's images. There's my Muroc logo. Can you find your logo file? If you cannot, let me know. If you can find it, highlight it, click add. You'll know whether or not it worked because this is going to go back in just a second. Come on. And notice what's under images now. Can you see that? It put my image underneath my images file. Bless you. If you tried doing it and it didn't work, or you think, I don't know what I'm doing, then please raise, bless you, please raise your hand. I don't have the ability to look at your machines. Okay, so right mouse click where it says future value to choose add. Choose new folder. Type images right there. Hit enter. Right mouse click on where it says images. Choose add. Choose existing item. Okay. Now over here you're going to have to click. You have to go out. You have to be able to see the desktop. Click in here. Click in this gray area. Click on desktop. Got a file that you added before on your desktop that was called Chapter02. Click on there. Click on the other folder by the same name, CH01 future value. Click on images. Double click on that. That's it. Anybody else? All right. Okay, let's talk for just a minute about what you see over here on the left. If this isn't showing, this toolbox, if your toolbox is not showing on the left, it looks like, Valerie, like yours isn't, just click View and choose Toolbox, which is about 2/3 of the way down. Not toolbars, but View Toolbox. Everybody, you need to be able to see your toolbox. Now, there's a shortcut combination. It's Control W and X. If you'd rather do it that way, you can do it that way. If the toolbox is in your way, you can always remove it and then bring it back again. All right? Everybody got that?
I won't let you tab like that. It would like to put in an actual tab and trying to position it.
Trying to position what?
Like how yours is on the side.
Oh, okay. Then what you're going to have, we'll have to do it during the break. There's a way you go in through tools and options. Yours has been reset. All right, we can do that during the break, but I don't remember how to do it offhand. But does everybody see their toolbox? There's a whole chapter on this. In fact, there's several chapters on this. This is the first big thing. This is the first big change between this and HTML. Okay? Notice there's standard here. This standard has almost all the same tools in standard as HTML. The difference between them is the standard tools, those are server-side tools. The HTML are client-side tools. We're going to work almost exclusively, even if we don't need to make them server-side tools, we're going to do it anyway, so you get used to doing that. So all the server-side tools that you'll need for the beginning, those are in here. Your database stuff is going to be under data. We're going to actually today use validation. I'm going to introduce you something that we're not going to get into until about Chapter 6, just so you see it. All right. Navigation, we're going to learn basically how to build sitemaps. You know what a sitemap is? On a website, if you ever go down to the bottom and it says sitemap, it has kind of it's almost like a directory listing of every file that's on the website, where it's located, etc. We'll learn how to create those. The login, if you want to create your own login system, you can do that. All right? Web parts I've never used, so I'm not going to lie to you. This is right near the end of the book, Ajax. Ajax, I think we talked a little bit about this before. It's an acronym. It stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML, even though XML isn't used that much in it anymore. The dynamic data I've never used. These are client-side tools. We should never have to touch those. For right now, what I want you to do is to open the standard tools so we can take a quick look at them. All right? There's not enough time left in the period to go through everything that's in here. But what we want to make sure we can do is at the top of our screen, this is our area right now. Notice if I wanted to, you don't have to do this. See how I can hit enter a bunch of times to make this bigger? We are going to do that. We are going to make it bigger. But don't worry about that right now. If all you have is just this, you're fine. That's good. All right? But what I want to do is I want to go and I want to find the control that says image that's right here. Okay? I want to find that image thing, and I want to drag it out here so it's in this box and just let it go. Now you look at it, you go, well, I just screwed it up, Jeff. Look how little and stuff I got. Don't worry about it. All right? Part of the reason for that right now is there's no image associated with it. That's why it's as small as it is. Okay? Now, hopefully you remember some of this stuff from last semester that we put in a control, and then we come over here and there'd be properties for the control. Okay? It's similar in here, except now, again, we're working with a server-side control instead of a client-side control. All right? So, the big one here is this, image URL. So I'm going to click there where it says image URL, right there, I guess it's here, and I'm going to click the ellipsis, the 3 dots that are right there. And the system says, okay, I can't find anything, but notice if I double click on images, it finds my image. You see that? Okay, so I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click OK. Do you see what just happened though? On my screen at least, you see what happened? If you do that, that's what should happen on yours. Okay, got it? Thank you. Now, while I was explaining this to you, I accidentally just did something I didn't mean to do, so I want to see if there's even a better shortcut than the way I just showed you. I don't know if this is what I'm going to show you is going to work or not, so I'm going to remove the image, keep yours there, but I'm going to try to add it back in a way that's even easier than I just showed you. Yep, that's what I want to do. I'm going to remove the image that's here, and I'm just going to go over to my images, and I'm going to literally just drag it and drop it. All right. Wow, and it even says, do you want alternate text? Okay, I'll say Muroc logo. That's kind of nice. I don't know if you know what this long description is for. For lack of better words, it's for people who can't see. Because having the Muroc logo isn't going to help them very much, right? So you can put in a long description and you can say, this image is the logo for Muroc. And you can explain that to them. I'm just going to leave it blank. And I'm going to click OK. And it put it in. I never knew that before I just accidentally did it. The book doesn't say that you can do that. All right, and it's fine. So you now know 2 ways to add an image, correct? And what's the advantage? Well, the advantage of using it the second way, the way we just did it, is you get to put your alt tag in there. Okay? Please look up on the screen. I'm going back into my source mode. Look what it just added for me. Alt equals Muroc. It even set up a class for it. What are classes used for? CSS, right? There's my source. So that's what it added for me.
So the way that I added it was not that way.
Either way. And if you don't have a class, don't even worry about it.
But if I wanted to have an alt for it, then I would just go into the source and then...
No, okay, Valerie just asked a great question. Okay? She said she added it the first way I showed. She doesn't have an alt tag. No, you would manually go in here and type Alt equals. You can do that. You can do things, you can let the system write code for you, and you can add your own code to it. You can let the system write everything for you, or you can write everything yourself. There's a lot of versatility and a lot of pliability in this. You can do this in a lot of ways. Okay, so yours right now, and mine, looks like this, but I hit enter once or twice. So I'm going to get rid of that. So yours probably looks just like this right now. So I'm going to go and hit enter twice. And I want to make sure that I'm still inside of here. Okay. And I am. All right. And that's good. So what I want to do now is I want to put in here 401k future value calculator. But before we do that, there's a lot of ways that we can do it. We can put it in as a label, correct? We can just put it in as a label. If we want to, we could also do this. So please look up on the screen here. I'm going to go back to source mode so you see it. And I'm about right here. So I'm going to type in here. And again, it doesn't matter that much where we do it. We can always move it around if we need to. But I'm going to put in here, I'm going to get rid of that paragraph. And I'm going to put in an H1 tag. You know what those are. And I'm going to type in 401k future value calculator. Calculator. All right. And you notice, hopefully you notice, that as soon as I do that and I switch back again to design mode, there it is. All right. Now, was that big a thing? That didn't make you go, gee whiz. It really wasn't that cool, but I want to show you another way we could have done it. Please look up on the screen here. Do you notice that there is one of these controls on our toolbox says literal? Can you see this, where the mouse is right there? Everybody see where I am? If you want to put in things that are just literal text, which is what this is, I could have used literal. The advantage of making that an H1 tag is I know by default it's bolded and it's bigger. But remember, if I want it to be even bigger than that or a different color, I can always use CSS. All right, so we've got that. All right, now you'll hit enter a couple times if you haven't done so, and now we're going to put in our table. But before we do, I'm going to figure it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4. We want our table to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Okay? And we want each row to have 4 columns. Everybody hear that? We could manually type that in, but I don't know if you agree with this or not. That's kind of a pain in the butt. So with our cursor positioned where we want it right here, and you have to be in design mode, click Table, Insert Table. And it says, what do you want? Well, we want it to have 6 rows, and we want it to have 4 columns. That makes sense? Now, I don't care right now about alignment, padding, margin, color. You can play with that stuff on your own if and when you want to. Okay? I don't care. So I'm just going to put those 2 things in and click OK. And you can't tell from looking at it here, but it's built my table. So how do I know it's built my table? Now I'm going into source mode. See what it did? Please look on the screen here if you didn't go into source mode yourself. It built it for me. I've got a table. Now here's where you might want to use coloring because it's much easier to see when you have coloring. All right? But I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. All right? So, first thing that we want to do here, I'm going to go back, and this is going to, what I'm going to show you now is going to look weird, but I want to show you it because otherwise somebody's going, hey, did you know you could do this? Yeah. So I'm going to show you 2 different things that we can do. What we want to do is we want to go to our, over here, and in our first row, in our first column, we want to put a label in there. Everybody with me? We want to put a label in. This is what you don't know, though. Watch. Okay? So I can take my label, and I can take it, and I can drag it out. Boom, I get a label. That's no big thing. You all could do that, correct? Okay, what you may or may not know, I just removed the label, is now if I want to, I can also go into my source code mode and still drag a label in there. Let it go, and it does it for me. So you can add controls either from your visual mode in the designer or from source code mode. Did you hear that? So, you're reaching, which one should we use? No, that's, there's no answer to that. Which of your kids do you like more, Tiffany? Probably you'd say, I can't answer that. Well, it's a matter of personal choice which one of these two you use. All right? Now, what I do, you don't have to do what I'm about to show you, but this is what I do. I like all this stuff that I'm working on to be on its own line. Okay? You see what I just did here? This takes a little while longer, but I will tell you that this pays for itself doing this because it's much easier to debug it if you have problems. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did. Okay? Now, please look on the screen because this, believe it or not, even if I've said this before, this is the most important part of today's lecture. If we removed this ASP label right here and just put label in there, if we just put the word label in, if we changed it here, it would change here. If we removed the run at equal server and the ID, then it would be a client-side control like you used last year. Every server-side control that you create in this language must have two things: a unique ID and run at equal server. You must do that. So people, because and believe me, because I've had this happen before. Somebody will come up to me and go, Jeff, I've got bad news and good news. The bad news is I wasn't listening to you when you were doing the lecture. So instead of adding all these, I added them all as HTML controls, accidentally. The good news is I went back and changed them all and manually put in ASP, etc., and manually put in an ID and a run at. Will I be okay? And the answer is you should be, but it's no guarantee. Microsoft even recommends that if you make a mistake or if you want to go from all client-side controls to all server-side, you start over. Okay? It's not that you have to do that. That's just their recommendation. Now, a couple things that are here. First of all, where we are. Any server control in ASP always is prefaced with ASP colon. You know what ASP stands for? It's the name of the language you're using. Active server pages. All right? So we're saying that it's a label. Well, this isn't really a very good name, label 1. All right? What we're going to end up putting here is this is going to be our monthly investment. So I'm going to change the name of it to label monthly investment. All right? And I'm going to change the text to monthly investment. Look up on the screen here, please. You cannot have blank spaces in there. That's a name of something. You can in here. So what did I just do? It's much easier to show you. See how we have monthly investment in there now? Everybody see that? So we've started. Okay? We can build this in a bunch of different ways. I'm going to build it in the way I'm going to build it. So if you're following me, it'll probably be the easiest. If you don't want to follow me, that's totally up to you. I'm going to literally take my mouse and put it at the beginning of my next row. So I clicked right under where it says monthly investment. Right there. Okay? And I want to bring in another label. Boom. And now I'm going to go back into my source mode. And just like I did before, I want to change all this. You're going to get very bored. I'm not going to keep saying I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do it. All right. This second one, the first one was our monthly investment. This second one is going to be label annual interest rate. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, here we go. Boom, boom. I keep begging them. There's a problem with this machine. It keeps changing sizes on me. and I have to hit F7 and do a whole bunch of stuff, and they've tried fixing it, and so far they haven't been able to. So I'm not a real happy camper about that. So label annual in its annual interest rate, sorry. Okay, and I'm going to put the text in there. This should be a big surprise to you, to annual space interest space rate. Okay, now I'm telling you this, if you don't agree with me, you better let me know. If not right now, you better let me know in an email or something. I don't think I'm going too fast. This is all stuff that you have done before. It really and truly is. But it's a combination of what you did in HTML and what you did in C#. All right? So if I jump back again into my design mode, now you can see what I have. I've got two labels. All right? One that says monthly investment and one that says annual interest rate. Okay? So I'm going to come down to my next line down. Right here. So I'm down to my next blank line. I'm going to add another label. All right, I'm going to jump back into source mode. I'm going to keep doing the same kind of stuff. This one is going to say in its number of years, so I'm going to call it label number of years. So now, if you're following along, yours should look like this. This is what we have in here right now. Monthly investment, annual interest rate, and number of years. Okay? All right. We're not done yet. We're not even close to being done. Now I want to go down one more, put in another label, switch back in again to source mode. Keep doing what I keep doing here. And this one will say label future value, not future, future value. And the text in here is going to be future value. Okay? And please look up on the screen, everybody. Okay? You're not going to think I did, but I did. I purposely made a mistake in here. I don't want that to go there. Instead of having to go there, I really want it to go here. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And now I changed my mind. I do want it to go there. But what I'm saying is I could move it down if I wanted to. See what I'm saying? I could just go into that TD tag and just move it. It's okay. Here's a question for you. Somebody answered, and I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm just going to, but guess if you have to. It's fine. Would you think, with what we did right here, if I wanted to take this label right here, that one, and copy it right here, could I just take this whole thing and copy it right into there? Just literally grab all that text in blue, do a Control-C to copy, move down to here, and do a Control-V to paste. The answer is not only yes, it'll actually rename the control for you because you can't have two controls with the same name. So if your one up here was called label number of years, it'll probably just change it to label 1. But other than that, it'll be the same thing. So we could just be doing a lot of copying if we wanted to do that. Watch out doing that because it's a way to get very, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. But it's you can end up being very cheap and you're just not doing things the way that they should be done. All right? Now that I've got future value, now I do want to go back 2 rows down. Not this row, but the row after that. Everybody hear me? 2 rows down. I want a blank row after it says future value. Okay, and I want to go down into this next row here. First time we're doing something different, we're going to put a button in there. Okay, I'm going to switch back again into my source mode, and look what it put in. All the other ones had said label. This one says button. Because it's a hard thing to believe. It's because it's a button. All right? So the ID will be button calculate, and the text will be calculate. All right? And after you've done that, not button 1 calculate, just button calculate. And after I've done that, see what I have? The good news is that's the whole first row that we wanted to work on. I'm not doing any formatting on here. We could come back in here and bold these, make them bigger. We could write CSS later to do that. We don't care about that right now. We care about writing an actual app. And when we click this, what's going to happen is we're going to have a drop-down list over here with a bunch of values in it. Okay? You're going to pick one of those when the program runs, or use the default one. You're going to put in an interest rate. You're going to put in a number of years. You're going to click that calculate button, and it's going to give you the future value right here. Does that make sense? That's what we want to have happen. And the funny thing is, if I was showing you this, if you were at the end of the C# class, you could build a program in 5 minutes. All right, you could. You did stuff that was harder than this in just a few minutes. Okay? All right. So now I want to go over and I want to make sure I'm not in the first row here. I want to be in the second row. Look at how big that first row is. Or how you see how wide that is? So what if I do this? What if I take my mouse and I put it here and I start dragging it over? Wow, look what it did. It made that a lot narrower. Do you have to do that? No, but it's much easier for me to click here and know now that I'm in the second row. Or second column. Okay? What I want to go here, please look up on the screen, is I want this. Come on, move over. There you go. I want a drop-down list in here. And don't worry about filling it in. Don't worry about any of that stuff. We're programmers now, so rather than us filling it in, we're going to fill it in with code. Okay? We'll do that in just a bit. You having a problem?
No, I mean, I got it.
Okay.
You know, I can fix it.
Okay. Well, you just look frustrated.
I just
Okay. All right. Now, if we go back into our design mode, into our source mode, we see, oh, it brought a drop-down list in. Okay? Well, I don't want to call that drop-down list 1, but it's the drop-down list for my monthly investment. We call the label monthly investment. Correct? Correct, Jeff. So we're going to call the drop-down list monthly investment. All right? Underneath that, we're almost ready for another break, but underneath that, we're going to go back into design mode, and we're going to put a text box here and a text box here. All right, so I'm going to come up to this, right underneath that drop-down list. I'm going to come in, find the text box, drag it over, put it right there. Yes.
The drop-down list source code, in the source code, it didn't show up. And I put it in the design mode. Do I have to,
I don't understand what you mean. Well, the easiest way to find out whether or not to go back into your other mode and take if you have clicked in there. So it should be what's active right now. It should be in there. Go back again into the window. Your font's so small I couldn't see that it was there anyway. But it should be in there. I would have no idea why that wouldn't be in there. You could try to remove it, add it again, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be in What's there is correct. What you did is correct, because you could tell by looking at it that it was correct. Yeah, it's there, but why it wouldn't be showing there in front of the window? What's that? No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to choose any option that's in there. We're going to finish building as much of this interface as we can, then we're going to take another break. All right? So I'm now I just put in a text box. I'm going to go over into my source mode. Notice it's got text box, which is what it is. And I'm going to call this, well, it's the text box for the annual interest rate. So text box, annual interest rate. Okay? There's no label on that. It's just blank. And that's fine. That's what we want. Okay? All right. Then I'm going to jump back into the design mode again. And underneath, by number of years, I'm going to add another text box right there. And I'm going to go into source mode. And I'm going to call that text box number of years. What I will do is when we get all done, I will give everybody a copy of this. All right? The one that we're working on. So if you had any problems. But you know what? I just so you know, that's not the way we're going to keep on doing it. All right? So there's our other one. So now what we have in we've got 4 labels, 1 button, we've got a drop-down list, and we've got 2 text boxes. Please look up on the screen. Would you agree with this? I can do 2 things here. I can make the future value a text box that's read-only, or I can make it a label. I'm going to make it a label just because so no one's ever able to change it. So I'm going to come in and grab another label, drag it over here, right under the last text box I just put in. Go back into source mode. This will be label future value. Run that server. Oh, I got 2 of them. I guess I put it in already. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Oh, the first one was called label future value. So let's just call this label FV. There we go. All right. There'll be no text in this. It's blank. We'll want to put text in it. That's going to be our answer when we get all done. Okay? And so this is what our interface looks like right now. See where it says label FV right there? It's just showing you that there's a label there. When we run the program, that will not show. All right? And down here, please look on the screen, in the same row as my button here, I want another button. So I'm going to put a button there. I'm going to go back into source mode, and this will be my clear button. So I'm going to call it button clear. And the text will just say clear. And when I go back to design mode, that is almost it for my interface. We're not done, but we're almost done. All right. Now, I'm going to try this. You don't have to. My guess is right now, if I run this program, it's going to blow up. Okay, that's my guess. I could be wrong. Sure wouldn't be the first time. But I'm going to run the program. If it doesn't blow up, it'll probably blow up if I try to put input into it. I don't know. So here's what yours should look like if you were following everything that I did. There it is. It's not pretty, but it's totally functional. Everything lines up because we put it in a table. This has nothing in it because we're going to put the code in there to do it. We're going to put in code to do that. So that's why that's empty. Right now, if I click calculate, there's no code there. Nothing happens. If I click clear, there's no code there. Nothing happens. I can come into my interest rate and put in garbage. And there I can put in garbage. That's all okay. All right? What we want to do, and we'll do this after the break, but what we want to do is we want to make sure the user puts a number in here, and we want to make sure it's within a certain range. We want to make sure the user puts a number in here, and it's within a certain range. All right? And please look up on the screen, because this is stuff that should make sense to you. The annual interest rate, we could make that a double. It's possible, you know, your interest rate isn't necessarily going to be 2%. It could be 2.3%, correct? So we'll make that one a double. This one, for number of years, we're going to make that an 8. How long do you want to take out that loan? Oh, about 8 years and 7 months, maybe 2 weeks and 3 days. That's not how it works. You do it for a number of years, okay? So these, we're going to add, in these columns that we added over here, we're going to add what are called validators. We're going to do that after the break, all right? Once we do that, then we can write the code. There's really not much code to write for the program, maybe 25, 30 lines. I'm going to give them that to you, all right? So it looks like it is 2:37, so let's come back around 2:50, please. I have never seen that before.
He's not doing any of them now.
On any of them?
Yeah.
No. Not only, have I never seen that before, it doesn't